Chapters in mastering the cycle display their skills with long short mist and dreamlock the vastness of Martini. The story goes that after Li Zhu and Yin Quan finished their route to the village and headed toward the mountains, except for Yin Kuo, who wanted to arrive quickly at the mountain to begin learning swordsmanship, the three were unencumbered and carefree. Along the way they enjoyed the mountain scenery, walking leisurely. By the time the sun was setting in the west, they finally arrived at the foot of Mount Emmy. There they saw in standing in rows of many pilgrims climbing the mountain minus the scene was quite lively. The three found an inn, planning to buy necessary supplies the next morning before ascending the mountain to prepare for a long stay. The ride passed without incident. The next day, after the three discussed and decided, Yiming was assigned to purchase everyday household items such as oil, salt, sauce, vinegar, rice, flour, wine, and meat. Shushan was responsible for buying books, writing materials, pots, stoves, water buckets, and other teaching utensils. Finally, he also bought several gen of thick-hemmed rub. When Yin Quan asked what this was for, Shushan said, "He'll know sure we want it has many uses." Though their luggage was limited, with all the newly purchased items, there was quite a lot. Soon they hired quarters to carry everything up the mountain together. The pilgrims who meet Vincent's procession found them rather strange, that the three paid no attention and headed straight up the mountain. At first, how they passed through some narrow paths. The walking wasn't too difficult, but gradually the mountain paths became more treacherous and the scenery more marvelous. White clouds flew back and forth just above their heads, hence sometimes one couldn't see people across the way. Yang Quan kept exclaiming how interesting it was. Shushan said when we started climbing we saw no sign of rain. That there were so many clouds, it must be raining down below. We're walking through crowd in this Midas, we must be careful, or else one false step and we'll be smashed to pieces. After walking another half li, they reached the cliff of self-sacrifice. Looking back down the mountain, we saw only boundless obscurity and minus no houses could be seen at all. Even the totals on the mountainside were hidden in the smoke and mist. Irate sun overhead shone on the Carlton mist, reflecting extraordinary towers and growing white Midas, truly a beautiful sight. Just as Yin Quan was watching entranced, the porters and honored guests, we now reached the cliff of self-sacrifice. Beyond here is the devil's dread Midas, there's no passable road. We cannot proceed further. With today's clouds, there's certainly heavy rain halfway up the mountain. We tapped the sun today, and tomorrow will cost us another day's business. Please be accommodating honored guests. Shushan said, "We originally only hired you to come this far. Right here a moment while I learn to the mountaintop and use rope to haul up the wardage. Then I'll give you extra worry money, how's that?" Having said this, he let the bonjour towering agent cypress beside him, then climbed from the treetop edge of the mountain peak. He took out the hemp rope that brought and sold up the luggage and goods one by one. Then he lowered the rope again and hauled Yin Quan up. When she was being pulled across Ray, Yin Huang looked down with her eyes and saw that this place was truly precipitous minus a solitary peak carved straight down, overlooking a deep pool 10,000 jam below. Though she was dull by nature, even she felt busy in her heart shop. After Yin Quan went up, Lin Eng did the porters a tell with silver as right money and timed up in the same manner. Only then did the three discuss smoothing the luggage. Shushan said, "I've been to this place many times and am very familiar with it. Let me first lead his father and daughter to the cave, and I'll retrieve the items." Some three men was unfamiliar with the route. They wasn't polite about it. Each person first took some convenient items, passed several more precipices, and after about 3 li they arrived at the mountain cave entrance. On the Jidwo were for large characters, printing stones and drawing in clouds. A three entered the cave to look around. They saw that was in the cave were altogether for stone chambers minus 3 deserted bedrooms, and one was good lighting as served as a place for everyone to read and cultivate tranquility. Then Shushan fetched all the necessary items minus altogether waited 3 trips before everything was brought in. After putting everything up, the sun was already setting behind the road. Everyone hastily ate some dry provisions. sealed the cave entrance with stones, and went straight to sleep. The next morning after rising, Leaning established a curriculum for Yin Quan and began teaching her key cultivation, then spirit concentration, as well as various internal skills. Yin Quan was naturally exceptionally intelligent minus and no time at all. She had mastered all kinds of flexibility exercises, but because she was born with an impatient nature, every day she brought out Lianju to teach her swordsmanship. Shushan, seeing her rapid progress, also thought she could be instructed, that Rindim alone stubbornly refused, seeing only that the time might yet come. One day Shushan pleaded on Yin Quan's behalf. Rindim said worthy brother only knows one thing but not the other. Do you think I don't know that she should now begin learning? You must understand minus the higher someone's natural talent, the deeper their foundation must be laid. Kwammer's natural gifts are such that I'm absolutely inadequate to be her teacher. So now I'm wholeheartedly focusing on solidifying her foundation. Once her opportunity arises and she meets a brilliant teacher, she can become a great talent. If we proceed carelessly now, even if I transmit all my life's learning to her, she still couldn't stand alone for a time. Moreover, her temperament is fierce and she's unwilling to easily submit to others. There are many heroes in the world stronger than us minus. If she encounters an opponent, won't she suffer a loss? My intention is that if she doesn't learn, then so be it. But what she learns, it must be profound. Though she may not achieve the supernatural transformation of the ancients or the mortals, she should at least reach the level of being invincible in the mortal world. Initially, I didn't teach her also because of her dweller, but impatient nature and my own limited abilities. During these words, Shushan felt it inappropriate to urge further, but Yin Quan's impatience was like fire minus. How did she endure? The only flaw in this otherwise beautiful mountain cave was that the water source was quite far away. Fortunately, about a league from the cave on the mountainside cliff, there was a waterfall with a small stream that ran minus the water was so clear you could see the bottom, and the spring water was sweet and clean. Every other day, we and Zhou would take turns touching water, because we and Zhou feared becoming lazy and stiff. Every morning they would practice various sword techniques and boxing arts in the open space before the cave. Since the two wouldn't teach her, Yin Quan attentively watched him aside, and when the two were around, she secretly practiced. Not any had many notice. One day Yin Quan saw monkeys running on the rotten cliffs agile as if flying. This inevitably sparked in her the idea of practicing lightness skills. Every morning she would tie ropes between trees at both ends and practice working on them. She also pressed Zhu and Li to teach her various lightness techniques. She already had natural divine strength, and with guidance from these two masters she not only became light as a swallow but also developed extraordinary power. Once a month, Shushan would go down the mountain to visit Sharianer and conveniently teach in martial arts. On that particular day, just as he was about to descend to visit him, he reached the cliff of self-sacrifice when suddenly he entered him running with a letter in hand. Shushan opened it to read. It turned out to be written by the schoolteacher Martial, saying that 3 days ago a monk had arrived minus his appearance extremely fearsome and sinister. On his back he carried an iron wooden fish weighing 3 to 400 jin. He came to the village city walls, saying he was a monk from outward timing to Miaoton, traveling the world sorry to seek her friend Sernanxiu. The villagers, because though he looked fierce, he begged randomly for alms without any improper behavior. Let him be. Because there was no uncertainty in the village. Yesterday he was about to leave when suddenly all those stunned villager mentioned Mr. Zhu. The moat then asked about the teacher's school name and appearance. After hearing, he said it was the inn. Never thought that in this life I'd stood up a day to meet Zhu Lao San. The serene crane of the crowds. As he spoke, his face looked extremely ugly, just as he was asking where the teacher was now. Yet and I happened to walk out. And at least stunned person said that to inquire about the teacher's whereabouts. One must ask me. That moat then changed a curse to me. Seeing his intentions were not good, I told him, Mr. She was guarded Chengdu to take up a teaching position. And didn't tell him he was letting him out at me. He's no longer on the doge to the Martis. She must have brought the Chindu to see you. I saw that this monk's intentions were certainly not good, so I am sending this letter to you to prepare early. Seeing this letter, Shushan was greatly alarmed and said to Yanner, "Follow me up the mountain, we'll talk more." Speaking hastily, he took Yanner and leapt up the dangerous cliff, arriving at the cave. After Yanner paid respects to Lin Ying and his daughter, he said to Shushan that his teacher Ma said the monk had bad intentions. That night I went to the inn where the monk was staying to investigate what kind of person he really was. At the third watch, I crawled onto his roof and using the coral curtain roll instead, looked into the room. I saw this monk sitting in meditation. After sitting for a while, he arose and took out from the iron wooden fish to dry the teeth in their bones. He looked at them again and again, then extended his right hand to compare them. His right hand had only 3 fingers left minus the ring finger and middle finger appeared to have been cut off by a blade. Then I saw him take out a small package and from him try to extract a quaketerine. The features were sculpted to look exactly like Teacher Minus, also in white robes with a sword, except on the back there seemed to be something like twins. I saw the monk gnash his teeth fiercely upon seeing the teachers in it, as if extremely hateful. He gorged at the clay figure and cursed continuously. I couldn't help but become greatly enraged. I was about to enter the room to demand what grievance he had with teacher, that he would curse people behind my back Midas if he couldn't get a good reason. They didn't have to death. But just as I was about to descend into the room, it seemed someone pinched my dog and I couldn't make a sound. Suddenly, I felt my body rise into the air, and in a moment, I was on level ground. Looking around, I was already near the temple of the 3 officials' rightness. It gave me quite a fright. I had originally come out without telling my mother, and I feared she might wreak him up for me. I planned to first go home to check before doing anything else. When I got home, my mother had no legend, but I saw a note on the table. The characters were written extremely well and together. Such great boldness, going out behind your mother's back to risk danger. Tomorrow morning, hurry up to Mount Benny to deliver a message to your teacher. Don't go away. Seeing this note, I thought cheerfully Midas with my old mother at home. I shouldn't be taking risks. From the tone of this no traitor, that monk must certainly have great martial prowess, and I'm absolutely no match for him. When I was suddenly lifted into the air from that roof, he must also have been this person's doing. I thought about it all night. The next day I told my mother, and she told me to hurry and deliver the message to Tyr. These few days were the monthly examination, and I was worried Teacher Na wouldn't let me come. But when I arrived at the schoolroom before it even speak, Teacher Ma called me aside when no one else was and commanded me to deliver the message to Teacher. He even gave me treaty out of solar for terrible expenses so I set off immediately. I'd already walked about 10 wee when I saw the people ahead arguing. I looked carefully minus one was brought very numbed, and the other was a Taoist. The day we quite for it. Fortunately we were for a pardon they didn't notice me. So I left the main road, crossed over the mountain slope, and took the mountain path to get ahead of them. Does teacher know the background of this monk? To know how Shushan will answer, see the next chapter for details. That Taoist still didn't wait. He could only go with the other to a nearby eating house and hastily consume some food and wine, then hurry on their way. When they reached a place with no people, Pastor and disciple deployed their lamb flying pace, heading toward Kerr's Beak. In less than 2 hours, they were already not far from the village. Shushan knew that Yetter's mother was very virtuous Mimis. This visit would surely result in special hospitality from her, which would trouble her and make him feel uneasy. Moreover, it was already getting late. She intended to eat dinner before going, so he and Yanner walked into a wine and food shop to have their evening meal. This wine and food shop was called the Narinchase Tower. It had opened not long ago and the cooking was quite still so light as there weren't any customers drinking there. Master and disciple,